So how did we get to this point? Well, it started back in February when the Hong Kong's Security Bureau proposed amendments to the city's extradition laws.
It would allow for the transfer of fugitives to places including mainland China, Taiwan and Macau. And this was prompted, of course, by the murder case in Taiwan involving a Hong Kong citizen.
The government then introduced the bill to the Legislative Council in April, but faced strong opposition from pan-democratic lawmakers and members of the public.
Now, critics of the bill feared that it would undermine the city's freedoms, in particular that political dissidents could be extradited to mainland China.
The first major rally that kick-started a wave of protests, that was on 9th of June. It was one of Hong Kong's largest demonstrations since returning to Chinese rule in 1997.
Organisers estimated 1 million people joined the march, but Chief Executive Carrie Lam's government insisted that the law was necessary and refused to back down.
Clashes then broke out near the Legislative Council the day lawmakers were set to debate on the extradition bill. Dozens were arrested and police condemned the violence, labelling the protest a riot.
A few days later, in a dramatic retreat, Mrs. Lam suspended the extradition bill, but this wasn't enough to quell the protests.
An estimated 2 million people took to the streets again, and this was on the 16th of June. This time, they came up with 5 demands for the government, and the first of which was the formal withdrawal of the bill.
Then on July the 9th, Mrs. Lam stopped short of withdrawing the bill, but reiterated that the controversial extradition bill was dead. She urged protesters to stop their actions.
As the government refused to respond to protest demands, more and more people mobilized, and demonstrations became increasingly violent.
So that brings us to today. After almost 3 months of protests, the embattled chief executive went through protesters' 5 demands and has officially withdrawn the controversial extradition bill.
Irrespective of our grievances or the depth of discontentment towards the government, we cannot agree or accept that violence is a solution to our problems. Our foremost priority now is to end violence, to safeguard the rule of law, and to restore order and safety in society. As such, the government has to strictly enforce the law against all violent and illegal acts.